It's time for real talk and empowering conversations that matter to our chapter, our community, and for our legacy. Based on Delta Sigma Theta's 5-point programmatic thrust, it's time for DST Dialogues with your host, Jazmin Watson.
Welcome to MAC-DST Dialogues, the official podcast of the Montgomery, Alabama Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Today's conversation centers on social action and political awareness and involvement, a cornerstone of Delta's mission and a key part of strengthening our communities. Across Alabama, organizations are working to ensure people have the information and resources they need to participate in elections and make their voices heard. One of those efforts is Project Move, Making Our Voices Echo, an initiative from the ACLU of Alabama focused on increasing voter participation and helping communities stay informed and engaged in the democratic process. Project Move works by meeting people where they are through community outreach, voter education, and partnerships that connect people with the tools they need to participate in civic life. Joining us today to talk more about this work is Kenya Shavers, Voting Rights Coordinator with the ACLU of Alabama and a leader involved in the Project Move initiative. Thank you so much, Kenya, for joining us today, the MAC-DST Dialogues. And so we know that this year is an election year.
Yeah.
2026, big year for the state of Alabama. And the first question that I have is, when you think about the current election season here in Alabama, what do you believe is most important for voters to understand about the power of their voice right now?
Yeah, so first off, thank you for being an amazing host tonight. Also, shout out to DST for having me. As the Voting Rights Coordinator for the ACLU of Alabama, the American Civil Liberties Union, for folks that don't know what ACLU is. Right. Our goal and our work across the state is to help people understand the connection between what they are voting for when they go to the ballot box and their quality of life. And so, to your question, for me and for our work at the ACLU, it's important that people understand those two correlations, right? It's important that people connect the dots between not having clean water coming out of their pipes, not having a grocery store, within a couple of miles accessible to them of their home, not having a hospital in their county, to who they are electing when they go to the ballot box, or better yet, who they're not electing when they don't go. And so, that's the biggest thing I want to translate in this election cycle is that as Alabamians and as a native Montgomeryan, our quality of life is at stake, and so that's what I want folks to understand.
Yeah, because oftentimes when we think about voter participation, voter engagement, it's hard for someone to want to go to the polls when they have real life happening to them, for their family members and their community, things that directly impact them. We often see that want or desire to participate in the voting process dwindle when they aren't able or given the tools to be successful at the ballot. Yeah. With the ballot, right? And so can you tell us about Project Move a little bit more? I know that it's making our voices echo.
Yeah.
Can you explain love the shirt.
Come on. I'm going to have to get you one. I got you.
Oh, yes, please. But can you explain the goals and the core strategy behind Project Move? I've heard several times that it's your baby. So just share a little bit about your baby.
Yeah, so I'm really grateful and honored that I get to do this work. When I came to the affiliate, I didn't necessarily know or understand yet what we were creating. I was just willing to create it and help create it. And so Project Move, Making Our Voices Echo, is a voter initiative, a multi-year voter initiative aimed at helping increase voter turnout across the state by 5%. Now, again, this is a multi-year effort, so we should see these increases somewhere between 2028 and 2030. That is our hope, right? We recognize that prior to now, I won't say prior to now, but Alabama for many years has not been positioned to properly support voters in a free and fair way. Right. And that disenfranchisement is intentional and it is systematic. And so through our Project Move initiative, our goal is to not only help voters understand that their quality of life is at stake and they need to get to the polls and, hey, we got to increase voter turnout. It's not just about the numbers. It is truly about helping Alabamians across the state fill those gaps for their real life issues that you were talking about. In my career over the last several years, I've spent a lot of time knocking doors, making phone calls, talking to voters. Like, majority of my work has been in direct voter contact, on the ground, talking to voters. And what I can tell you, no matter whether I'm in Georgia, Alabama, Virginia, wherever I've gone across the country, voters have the same issues. I'm knocking at their door and I'm talking to them about, hey, election day is May 19th, 2026. And their baby need diapers.
Right.
You know, I need food on the table, and you talking to me about voting for somebody. Is whoever on this ballot going to put some food on my table? You tell me, right? Probably not, right? Not in the immediate way that they need the support. And so that's what a part of our Project Move work is rooted in, being sure that our work is community informed. Making sure that just because we are practitioners of this work, not going into community in this pompous, arrogant way that like we know what the issues are. Because even though we have some knowledge, right, about the situation, we want to hear it straight, for lack of a better term, from the horse's mouth. Right, we want to go to people directly and have them tell us, hey, my concern is that I cannot get to a hospital. My concern is that my kids are not being properly educated. My concern is my utility bills, my gas bill and my water bill and my power bill is high, right? Yeah. These are real issues that people have shared with us across the state. Over the last 2 years that we've been doing this work, taking surveys, collecting surveys, again, to be sure that our work is community informed. And once we have been informed about what the issues are in any particular area in the state, figuring out what resources we can help push towards that part of the state, push towards that county, whether it's directly from the ACLU or a community partner. But again, helping voters fill those gaps in real time, so that we can kind of soothe a little bit of that voter apathy, right? We recognize that it is unfortunately a Band-Aid. We are not the solution to the problem. Yeah. We are just trying to help it along the way until we can help them understand who is responsible for the solution to the problem. And so again, after we've been able to be community informed, support the issue, and provide some community care, then and only then are we going back and educating those voters about the election, about the candidates, and through that we're able to build trust so that we can continue to bring those voters back to the polls time and time again, because elections don't stop. Right. Right. So if I get you to the polls one time, I need you to trust me enough so that I can get you to the polls 2 and 3 and 4 times, and so that every single time you're bringing more and more people to the polls. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about our work. We are diving particularly in congressional districts 2, 5, and 7. Yeah. That's where we have the densest population of Black and brown voters across the state. We are not excluding any other portion of the state, but we recognize that, again, that is where we have the densest population of the greatest registered folks and the least amount turned out. So it is a very layered program, but our state is very layered, right? Our issues are very layered. And so our approach to the work cannot be one-dimensional. And so shout out to the affiliate for trusting young strategists like us to be able to do this work in such a way.
Wow. We'll be right back with more with Ken Shavers and more about the initiative Project Move after the break.
I'm Gina Ishman, Montgomery County Circuit Clerk, and your absentee election manager, here to give you important deadline dates for the upcoming 2026 primary election. If you are a registered voter and eligible to vote absentee, you can do so beginning March 25th. To receive an absentee ballot, you must submit an absentee application, either by mail or in person. Absentee applications by mail must be received in my office by May 12th. Absentee voting in person, the deadline is May 14th. Once you receive your absentee ballot, it will come with the instructions and envelopes to return your ballot to us. Absentee ballots returned by mail must be received by noon on Election Day, which is May 19th. You also have the option to return your absentee ballot by mail by 5 o'clock the day before the election, which is May 18th. For more information about absentee voting, please visit alabamavotes.gov or call our office at 334-832-1281. The absentee voting office is here and ready to serve you. Thank you.
And we're back. So Kenya, before the break, we were talking about community care and what that looks like with Project Move, especially when trying to get community members, our family members, to the polls. And so with May 19th primary coming up, I know you dropped the election date. What are the most important things voters need to know right now as far as registration deadlines to knowing what's on the ballot, and how can they get that information?
Yeah, so first off, I want to say that Alabama does not have a voter registration issue. Mm-hmm. Alabama has a voter turnout issue.
Okay, yes.
More often than not, Alabama is registered, eligible voters in Alabama are registered anywhere between 92 and 96%. But in any primary election, we only see a 32 to 36% turnout. So most of the people that are going to watch this are registered to vote, but that does not mean that they should not check their voter registration. So to check your voter registration and be sure that the Secretary of State's office has not purged you from the voter roll, you want to go to Alabama or ACLUalabama.org, or you can type into Google Project Move Alabama, and it'll take you directly to the Project Move page, where you'll see the Alabama voter guide. That voter guide will give you everything from a mock ballot, so that you'll see everybody that is on the ticket from the gubernatorial race at the top down to school board, right? And everything in between for your state house representatives, because they are also up for re-election. In addition to how to do absentee, how to register, how to check your voter registration, that voter guide is your guide to being sure that you do your part in making sure that you have access to a free and fair election. We recognize that a lot of what we see across the state in the disenfranchisement of voters is systematic, but we have to do our part to make sure that we are breaking down those barriers and we're not letting people abuse us and say we enjoyed it.
Right, exactly. Because they will do that.
They will do that if you let them.
And I think that's why it's important to have conversations like this, because a lot of people do not know that Alabama doesn't have a voter registration issue. When you see often, more times than not, organizations are pushing voter registration, and it's almost becoming a situation where they're preaching to the choir, right? And a lot of times we're seeing as of late that our cousins and them are being left out of the conversations when you have people that are registered, but they're not going to the polls.
Yep.
And you're thinking about the youth and where they can be in a situation where they're feeling like they're disconnected from wanting to go to the polls, and maybe that's something that we don't want to do. They're opting out, right? They're choosing the couch.
Yep.
And so I'm curious to know, what would you say to our community as far as why is it important for them to get up and get out and go vote?
So one thing that I want folks to stop saying when this question is asked is that our ancestors died for this.
Right.
They did. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking anything away from that.
Right.
I am not taking anything away from every single person who marched, who protested, who worked towards all of the freedoms and the liberties that we have today.
Amen.
Let me preface my statements
We had
by
to
saying
get that out the way.
Let me preface my statements by saying that.
Exactly.
Okay? However, unfortunately, that rhetoric does not resonate with my generation and the generations behind me.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't even speak on why I believe that is. That's another conversation for another day.
Oh, we'll do a part 2.
We'll do a part 2.
Okay.
But what I want, generations like mine and the ones coming behind me to understand and know is that every issue that we are dealing with in our day-to-day lives is associated with somebody who has either been elected or somebody that was appointed by somebody that was elected.
Exactly.
I want everybody to start talking about quality of life and connecting. If we want our families and our children to have a better quality of life, everything from our education to the water we drink, the air we breathe, the groceries we have access to, the clothes on our back. There was a bill, even down to the bills that are being passed in the State House. Get involved, get involved, get involved. That looks a myriad of ways. It's not one way to do it. And I may get in trouble for saying this, but that's okay. I'll take the buck. I was having a conversation with one of my friends who is also an organizer, strategist, and I shared with her, I was like, I'm tired of marching and gathering. And I know the people are tired of marching and gathering too, right? And so because we recognize that folks are tired of marching and gathering, even the folks that do this work, I want to tell people that I share that sentiment, right? And so if we know that, we have to collectively choose to do something else. We have to collectively choose to do more. Marching and gathering is not enough. Registering to vote is not enough. Voting is not even enough. Going to the polls on May 19th is not enough. Past that, we have to hold elected officials accountable. We have to show up in every single cycle. That means everything from the dog catcher to the president, okay? And everything in between. It is not enough for us to go to the polls and take a couple people with us. It is not enough for us to yell and scream and post on social media about our concerns. That is not enough. We have to show up to city council meetings. We have to show up to school board meetings. We have to show up in district where elected officials are. I was talking last week about how a young lady was sharing, elected officials are so busy. And I said, your state house representatives are only in the state house passing laws for 105 calendar days.
105.
105 calendar days. Are they talking to you about your issues outside of that?
No.
No. So you know what I'm gonna do? I know that elected official John Doe goes to the church down there on Dixie Avenue, and my cousin go to that church too. My cousin is a deacon at the church, right? Hey, cousin, tell them we need to talk to them. Schedule a meeting after church on Sunday because we got some issues we need to hash out, right? We have to hold them accountable. We have to hold their feet to the fire. So again, it is not enough for us to register. It's not enough for us to vote. It's not enough for us to take people to the polls. We have to take a vested interest in the lives that are being created for us, that are being created for our children, and being created for our families around us.
Thank you so much, Kenya, for joining us today and providing insight on Project Move and essentially giving us a call to action as we continue to live in the state of Alabama and being children of the South and contributing to the advancement of the culture, the community, and standing firm in the work that we're doing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And thank you for tuning in to MAC-DST Dialogues. And we encourage you to get to the polls on May 19th and continue to stand up for what you need in your community and for your family, friends, and more. For more information about our chapter's events and activities, visit our website at MontgomeryAlumnaeDST.org. To like and follow and share Montgomery Alumni Chapter on Facebook and Instagram, and also YouTube.
Got a story idea you think we'd like to feature on MAC-DST Dialogues? Email your ideas to corresponding secretary at MontgomeryAlumnae.org or visit the MAC-DST Dialogue show page on the Montgomery, Alabama Alumni Chapter website at MontgomeryAlumnae.org.